Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, LinkedIn. Thank you for joining us today. I am back with my friend Trisha, and today we are going to talk about why attributing pipeline to top of funnel or TOFU activities is so challenging. Um, how
Gosh, it's
are
hard. It's the worst.
how are you doing today, Trisha?
I'm really good. I am sad at the moment that I can't see as much of your new Greyhound statue.
We did position it. We moved its
There we go.
position. Chris and George said it needed a better placement, so that it could be seen more
I
clearly.
saw I don't feel I feel like I saw more of it last week. Anyway, I love it and I want to see more of it is what I'm saying. You're still not dialed in yet.
We'll play with the placement. We'll play with my camera placement, things like that. My latest obsession this week is audio, so I'm focusing a little bit more on the audio
Mm,
enhancements right now and less on the room
visual.
arranging. But
Hmm. Okay.
it's all part of the brand and the vision, isn't it?
I love that for you. That's great.
And I do feel like the statue brings something to the brand. So I'm happy
I do
happy
too.
to have him here.
I do
Somebody
too.
somebody asked me if Frank was intimidated or anything by the statue. Frank has no interest in the statue. He barely notices that it's there. Just another weird thing that the
Maybe
humans have.
you coated it with peanut butter.
Yeah, he doesn't care about it. It's not a blanket, it's not a soft surface for him to sleep on, so it is a non-issue. That's
Yeah,
all.
I can see that.
Alright. Um, so thank you for joining me again, Trisha. I know you and I have worked on a lot of different clients, and you have asked me a lot of difficult questions over the years, and one of the difficult questions you have asked me multiple times is this. Most recently, Trisha and I were working heavily on some email programs together, and one of the challenges I find increasingly difficult with email is while it's probably not in the tofu category, the direct attribution of marketing emails to deals and pipelines tends not to be very direct. But there are even more that that is easy compared to some more activities. Trisha, do you want to just give a little rundown of kind of the challenges that you're seeing?
Um, yes, I will give her will and I will give a rundown, and then I'm hoping that you will share the email dashboard that you developed,
Yeah.
because I think that that does it's the closest thing that I've had to, I don't know, proving emails worth. Proving emails influence over conversions from just sitting there in your CRM from somebody that, maybe they did something, but they didn't become an SQL. They're just hanging out in there, um, to actually becoming or maybe becoming an SQL or an opportunity later on.
Yeah,
Best
we'll
thing that
call
I've
it
seen, and it still had lots of challenges, but I'm hoping that you'll share that.
yeah, and we'll call it emails value because if Chris Carolyn is watching, he will be very quick to jump in and tell me that email is worthless. So
Yeah, I have all kinds of thoughts for Chris on that, and I can firmly say that I'm not with him on this. I have a different opinion.
all right, we've got the next session already locked in.
So why is attributing pipeline to top of funnel so hard? A lot of it is because there is no direct connection, and despite what everybody tells you, there isn't. So I've invested a lot of money into ABM campaigns that are, those are largely display campaigns,
Mhm.
or maybe some sort of video type thing on YouTube or other channels, social channels. And the thing is that people that are consuming content top of funnel within those channels tend to stay in the channel, in the platform that they're
Mhm.
viewing. They don't very often click on something, go to your website. And until they go to your website and fill out a form, you don't have that direct link from what they did and who they are. And on LinkedIn specifically, they may just, read, like look at a video for 10 seconds, move on to the next post, look at, read this, move on to the next. No attribution. And yet there was a brand association. Um, and if you mostly rely on LinkedIn organic, you are doubly hamstrung because like at least on the advertising side of things, they do a lot to try to help you understand that, especially if you have CAPI connected, like connecting things. But if you don't, it can become a very manual process to try to tie this top of funnel activity to your pipeline. Zoom Info, their ABM platform, they'll even allow you to, connect to your CRM. And I've done that. It still doesn't do a great job. And I found myself sort of like once a quarter doing a review of all the accounts it says I've engaged. And the reason I think it doesn't do a great job is because it typically doesn't distinguish between organic and paid activity. And
Mhm.
so it could have been an account that came through totally organic channels and they'll take credit for it.
Yeah, I mentioned this in the pre-show that one thing I don't like about having paid ad conversions incorporated is I find that paid ads try to take more credit than is true. They have a lot of like view through conversions and things like that, where
Mhm.
like they'll say, "Yeah, we influenced this," and don't get me wrong, I think there's 1000% valid view through conversions. I would say it's probably more likely that I'm going to view an ad and then Google the company. I'm pretty unlikely to click the ad. Same with email. I say that all the time about email too. Um, I'm not always clicking through your email, but maybe I'm thinking about your brand and going to your website later, whatever. But stay on track. But yeah, ads definitely can take more credit and that can
Mhm.
muddy the
Yeah.
data. When you've had LinkedIn connected to your CRM, I ran into this recently. I was connecting Salesforce with LinkedIn, and specifically for opportunities, we are having issues because LinkedIn is trying to match based on user IDs, email addresses, but opportunities in Salesforce don't have email addresses. Um, and I think there's a
They
workaround.
should. They should.
Well, it's not a field on there, like it's an association,
Yeah.
but the only workaround I can think of is to map the primary associated opportunity email and creating an opportunity field on the opportunity and mapping that.
Are you using like contact roles in Salesforce?
Contact goals.
Contact roles.
Roles. Yes. Yes.
I so I have always found very good linkage between as long as that those contact roles are used, and a lot of times they're empty. So I spend a lot of time always making sure they're populated, but I've never really had a problem with associating uh, the people side of things, the contact side of things to ops, as long as that piece is filled out.
Okay. It's been fine reporting in Salesforce. It's been in LinkedIn that it's been having trouble, but that's neither here nor there. We can keep
Well, see, they all have problems, right?
Yes.
And your CRM is ultimately where you want to see the data. And this is another problem with that top of funnel stuff, is that oftentimes you're reliant on the provider's platform.
Mhm.
Um, which means that you don't have an automatic dynamic connection feeding you the kind of data that you want to see. So Zoom Info, for example, like I
Mhm,
said, once a quarter, I would look at all the engaged accounts, and then I would go and I would look at the actual timeline of influence of like, when did the ads run? When did they come to our website? What do I see they did on our website? And I would use that to validate whether it was actually a paid lead from them or from another source. But that was all extremely manual, and I couldn't just pull up a report to show that to me.
mhm, mhm.
Um, there are okay, do we wanna move on to, like, some ideas?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've established the problem. One thing I think is everyone clear this is a problem?
What's
But
the problem? Like, have you ever posted something on LinkedIn that went really, really, really well,
mhm,
and then tried to understand the monetization of that? What value did that have for me?
yeah, correct. I think one of like the overarching issues is that top of funnel content is often first touch. Um, and sometimes it's not first conversion, it's first touch. And the fact that it's not always tied to a conversion, that can cause a lot of troubles.
Mhm. So that is why when I was thinking about things that could be universally applied to all organizations doing digital marketing top of funnel,
Mhm,
um, some things that everybody has access to is usually Google Search Console, so you can get an idea of queries there and which queries and how much volume.
mhm.
Um, and I have seen a, a very strong correlation between top of funnel activity and brand term awareness, or volume of brand term queries.
Do you have any like sense of how quickly like that can happen?
No,
Um,
I'd have to dig into it. I feel like, okay, this total gut. I feel like it's a, let's say, 30 to 60-day thing.
Because I think one thing that's challenging in marketing, everything changes quickly and people are quick to pivot. And
Hmm.
sometimes, especially with these top of funnel activities, I think people are especially with the top of funnel activities, people are too quick to pivot, uh,
Hmm.
because there's not that direct, "Okay, we're yes, I started posting more on LinkedIn. I'm not immediately getting my contact form flooded." Like, that's not the immediate action.
Hmm.
What I personally am seeing happen is I get more LinkedIn messages, I get more people, um, reaching out, asking for help, and I when I talk to people, they tend to be a little warmer, because they've seen my LinkedIn post or something like that. But even, like, I started increasing my posting on LinkedIn, like, at the new year, so, like, in January, and I didn't even see an increase in, like, my LinkedIn messengers until probably, like, March to now, really. So, it's not always immediate. I think Trisha may have gotten paused. She is on my side, so either I'm paused or she's paused. It could be either. But all of this to say here. Oh, Trisha came back. You came back in a different form.
I came back. Uh, what did I do?
It was fine. I was on a rant about the time it takes, so, you didn't miss anything.
Excellent.
Alright. So keeping an eye on your branded searches, whether and that I mean, that's Google Ads branded search, but also it can be your Google Search Console branded.
Hmm. Um, so I was looking at some metrics for one of the companies I've worked with recently, and when we turned on our ABM campaigns with Zoom Info, I mean, it's paid stuff, right?
Mhm.
But we couldn't attribute what they were doing for us. And yet, there was a 3 times increase in pipeline from brand terms, over about a 6-month period, like first half of the year, second half of the year. Um, and one of the reasons that that is fantastic is that just from an efficiency standpoint, you're paying a lot less. Your pipe to spend ratios on your brand campaigns are going to be significantly better and more efficient than non-brand terms because there is less competition and
Mhm.
you are prioritized. So you pay less for those clicks.
Mhm.
They're a much better deal for you. And the more you can derive revenue from brand terms, the more efficient your ad spend is going to be.
Mhm.
Um, so I've seen a very kind of immediate and significant increase in brand term conversions when you've got top of funnel stuff complementing that.
And that top of funnel stuff, that's organic. When we talk about that, we're talking organic social, paid display, things like that?
Right.
Just to clarify there.
Yes. Yes. Um, And so one of the things I was thinking that could be helpful is if you're not running brand term campaigns, paid brand term campaigns, it might be worth it to start turning that on for at least some amount of time and experiment with it. Again, because they're less expensive than non-brand keywords.
Mhm.
So they tend to be a very small percentage of a company that is investing heavily in digital, very small percentage of the overall budget.
Mhm.
And the metrics that you get on that are really good in terms of website traffic, who converted on specifically what keyword, which is all like you don't get that conversion data out of organic. You know
Mhm.
approximately how many people came to your site from different queries, but not how many converted on which flavor of them.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, and then that pipeline, that click to pipeline conversion, that's there as well. So I love that for that. It could be something to use to complement your top of funnel or justify or explain your top of funnel results.
Yeah. Yeah. Alright. Branded ads, that feels like kind of path of least resistance. You may already have that running yourself,
Hmm.
for your brand. Um, what else? What else have you tried?
Um, I was very okay. So then there's other paid solutions. I was very interested in trying out Hockey Stack because they told me that they can do all this. They told me that you can tie top of funnel to pipeline directly. Um, Never got a chance to roll it out. And it's not for everybody because I think it's about $25,000 to $30,000 a year. However, I was also told when I started looking at Hockey Stack about Factors AI, which is a less expensive thing that does something that does it similarly. Um, so that's also an option. And then I found another tool last week. Uh, this one I was so excited about because they will tell you which, not conversions, but like who has visited your website,
Mhm.
not the company, the person.
Oh. Ooh.
Not the company, the person. And so that's the thing. It's like I've like always been like to my team, like IP lookup, it's there. Look, this company visited, and my sales team, like, they just don't know what to do with that. But this solution, our B2B, will actually show you the LinkedIn profile. It connects to your Slack, and it'll just like you'll get a Slack, the free solution, that says, here's the profile of the person that visited your website. And then I think some additional metrics. They also have integrations for a fee with Salesforce and HubSpot. And it's completely legal in the United States, even in California. Like, they check the legality and compliance boxes as well, which is important. So I have only tested it out in a very, 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 very small way on a website with very little web traffic. So it's interesting.
Mhm.
I think that could be fun.
Yeah, but will it tell you where they came from, or will it just tell you who visited?
It'll tell you, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
'Cause,
I
like, it's
don't have
interesting,
enough
but
data
does
yet.
it I don't know if that solves the, like, TOFU attribution pipeline question. So, something to consider.
It might not. It might not. Um, but at least if you know that they're, I don't know. It's a good point. It's a good point. I don't know. I gotta dig around more.
Yeah.
I
Um
think that if you're looking to understand exactly which post is generating, the most revenue for you, or like what type of content is, I think that's very, very hard, um, unless you're driving people to a form that they can convert on.
Mhm. I agree, and sometimes I recommend too, like, sometimes I'll have clients that wanna run email-only programs or social-only programs. So let's say we're running a promotion, but we don't actually have it listed on the website. We're just promoting it on social, on emails. Often, I recommend, doing a little header hat, doing a pop-up, doing something, to acknowledge that on your website, because as I mentioned, not all of your traffic is going to click through your promotional piece. Some people are going to just Google your website after. But to that point, I think one of your biggest levers on how your TOFU activities are doing is your branded search, direct traffic, um, direct traffic, branded search, yeah, organic, so organic branded, anything like that. Um,
Mhm,
and kind of seeing how that grows in correlation to whatever your top of funnel activities are. So not only are you getting traffic from organic LinkedIn, are you also seeing an increase in those branded search and direct traffic as well?
mhm,
Um, I know one thing I've heard people talk about too, especially if we're looking at like this as a social organic social perspective, is your follower counts. Um,
mhm,
and I think a lot of times that gets underutilized. And in fact, like I follower campaigns, I think when they came out were kind of hot. And then I know the conversations I heard around them were basically like, it's just a vanity metric. Um, However, I would argue, is it a vanity metric? How much money are you putting into your email programs? How much money are you putting into your social media presence? Having followers is an opted in audience, to your content. So
mhm.
definitely monitor that too.
I was thinking that that could be an interesting metric too, is sort of like if you just took all of your pipeline that you're generating from organic channels and then divide that by the number of followers you have, that's like pipeline per follower.
Mhm.
In theory, your pipeline per follower number sort of remains the same.
Mm,
But
mhm.
then if your revenue is going up, um, or if your absolute number of followers goes up and that metric is staying the same, then that should mean that they're contributing that much in pipeline.
Yeah.
I garbled that really badly.
I'm following. So I know, Trisha, you wanted me to show a dashboard that I built,
Yeah. The
also.
other big limitation in HubSpot I believe, tell me if I'm wrong, but if you want to look at pipeline, HubSpot does not help you understand how landing pages, ad campaigns, posts, social posts, etc., translate to pipeline. They'll tell you customers and revenue, but for a lot of companies, there isn't very much data in customers and revenue. You have a lot of data on leads.
Mhm.
And a lot of time, I think possibly a lot of those HubSpot canned reports too. It's
Mhm.
not even leads, it's like new contacts.
Mhm.
Um, so I believe they're missing the lead metric, and
Mhm.
they're also missing pipeline, which means that if you're measuring everything based on customers and closed won, it's not a lot of data sometimes to extrapolate backwards.
Yeah, and the problem Trisha and I have experienced together is often we're, like, digging into individual contact records. I tell every HubSpot product manager that will speak to me, um, that, like, one of my biggest wants out of HubSpot is knowing they became an MQL. What are the actions that happened right before they became
Right
it?
before, what's the thing they did right before?
And
The
not
last thing
even
they did.
form fill, because, like, I know the form fill.
Right.
I know the demo request is why they became an MQL. I wanna know, did they receive an email within a couple days before? Alright, so
Yeah.
there's a few different ways to look at attribution in HubSpot for this type of thing. Um, we have a few options. We have attribution reporting in HubSpot. I think that's an enterprise tool. Someone can correct me if that I'm wrong, but it feels enterprise, just feels it. There's also campaign reporting. The campaign tool has come a long way in the last few years. I will blame myself for underusing the campaign tool because has not been super helpful historically, but now it is getting more helpful. And then the last thing is custom properties. Um, I have historically leaned on custom properties more often. I have created custom fields for last touch campaign, last campaign before MQL. Some of that was manually done at times because of those challenges. Like, I don't want to look at what form they filled out and became an MQL. I want to know what happened right before they filled out that form. And that sometimes can be, at this time in my experience, manual. If someone has a better solution, please,
Please.
please help me. So I'm starting at the bottom of the report because I want to kind of show the life cycle journey report, because whenever I tell someone at HubSpot that I want to know this information, they constantly send me to the journey tool, which is okay. And there, just today's the spotlight. There's the new journey. What's it called? There's a new marketing journeys feature. This is getting better. I appreciate the work that is coming out of HubSpot to make this better. This is one way I have used for email reporting specifically. Um, in this report, we're looking at all contacts who have had an email delivered so far this year. And then how many of them became an MQL and how many of those became opportunities. The reason this report is important, valuable, is that I want to see I don't want to see how many people clicked through an email and became an MQL. That doesn't happen in this specific instance very often. So what I needed to see was how many people that were on our email list were becoming MQLs. To do. This is a specific campaign and how that led to MQLs. I bet there's a weird filter on this. And then I also have how many people on our email list are becoming MQLs over time here as well. We have some reports here on just our general email performance, click rates, and things like that. And yeah, this is all just email engagement. Then I manually made this report on the left-hand side to show how many contacts received an email and how many did not. We're also kind of monitoring the unengaged rate through this report in many ways. Um, and then basically our email list growth is over here as well over time. And then Trisha, you kind of made these reports. These have been important in your life, um, which are looking at leads that have not yet MQL'd,
Mhm.
so that you can kind of keep an eye on, I believe, like what the volume of our like lead bucket is. Correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the intent of that. Plus, a lot of this was also just making sure that that there aren't any big gaps in our subscriber list, that we're people that we should be in communication with that have dropped out for some reason that has nothing to do with being unengaged or a bounced email.
Mhm.
But also not emailing people too much, and then also being able to keep an eye on any like top of funnel activity. Is that growing? What's happening with that? And then the continual challenge of just trying to prove how a regular cadence of emails influences people to become opportunities over time.
Mhm.
Just tough.
It is. So just to recap, it's hard. If you
Hard.
if you have a silver bullet, please let us know. If you have tried any of the tools that Trisha mentioned, Hockey Stack, Factor AI, RB, 2B, or anything we haven't mentioned, please let us know in the comments. Please let us know in our DMs how they worked for you. But I
Mhm.
think some of the best things we've been using ourselves is, to be honest, not attributing top of funnel activities to pipeline, but instead attributing top of funnel activities to brand awareness. And then from there, if you're able to correlate an increase in brand awareness to an increase in pipeline, um, and knowing there's a delay and convincing people that there's a delay. Um,
Mhm.
but I think that's your best bet immediately. I also would just, if you're not prioritizing top of funnel brand awareness types of activities, um, I recommend giving it a try. I think because of the lack of direct attribution, it gets really underused, but it's so powerful. And again, I can only speak to my own experiences, but I mean, I have not been doing LinkedIn Lives that long, but I definitely am hearing from people one off on, oh, um, you're one of, oh, I love listening to your content, or I see your daily show, and like, there's some anecdotal pieces that I can definitely feel in my own business. And I can trace that to revenue because I'm a fairly small business. It's not that far, but, yeah, give it a try. List of tools that Trisha mentioned. So, I'll try to drop this in the comments of this, live, but we're looking at Hockey Stack, Factors AI, and RB2B. RB2B is the tool that has some sort of free functionality, right, Trisha, to show you the
Free.
individuals visiting
Yep.
your website.
Yep.
All right. Thank you guys again. Feel free to DM us if you have any questions, and thanks for listening.
Thank you. Thanks, Casey.
Thanks for joining me.